Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 5 to take a look at a brand new addition to this game, which is this BMW 635 Crime Scene Investigator. As is often the case, to get hold of this new BMW, all you have to do is complete 20 points in this week's festival playlist, which is the autumn season, which as you can see I've done by doing the trial, the photo challenge, the collectibles, and the 4 monthly rivals at the beginning of the series. So this car, although new to this game, is not new to Forza. The last Horizon game it was present in was Horizon 3, where interestingly and also quite randomly, it featured in one of my very first videos, where I made a livery for it. The Crime Scene Investigator is equipped with a 3.5 litre 6-cylinder engine that produces just 282 horsepower and 341 torques, which it sends through its rear wheels. To be fair, for 1986, that isn't a bad power output, but it does also weigh 1500 kilos. To my surprise though, this thing hit 100 miles per hour along the very short straight on my latest custom track. Overall, the Crime Scene Investigator has a stock rating of C589. One thing on this car though that really annoys me, which I can remember from Horizon 3, is the position of the exhaust. Either put it in the centre or put it to one side. Don't do whatever they've done on this, it's just horrendous. It's a shame really, because apart from that, it is an incredibly cool car. Luckily though, as we move to customization, we find that it has a plethora of brilliant manufacturer colours. There's the colour it comes in, of course, there's a very bright red, there's this sort of almost purple colour, which I do very much like and I feel like I should really use to stay on brand. There's a sort of browny grey, a very nice dark green, but my personal favourite is this metallic blue, which I think is what I'm going to go with. There's also a darker blue, an even darker blue, a black, a grey, a silver, which I think also looks very good, that, and white. So I'm going to go and put that lovely metallic blue on mine. Unfortunately, in the upgrade shop, there really isn't that much you can do, apart from a whole host of engine swaps. There's an inline 6, a V8, a V10, a V10, another V8, and an inline 6 racing engine. You can, of course, all-wheel drive convert it, fit it with a turbocharger or a supercharger. Then you have your usual Forza aero, but it doesn't have the horrible Forza towing hook because there's already one on the car. And we have that, which somehow looks worse than usual, and a wing delete, of course, but I think we're going to leave that as it is. You can, of course, change your tyre compounds, tyre widths, and track widths, which, of course, weren't available in Horizon 3, so that is a new modification for this car, which makes it look slightly better than it already does. You then have your usual clutch, transmission, driveline, and diff, and your usual kind of selection of handling upgrades and engine upgrades. At this point, I once again went in search of some B-Class tunes, finding one from VNX Let's and applying it to the car. It takes power up to 361 horses, weight down to 1,236 kilos, and gives the car some rally suspension and street tyres. With that applied, I headed into Horizon Open, joining mid-adventure for a race at the Linea Costera Sprint, where I got a pole position and got off the line very well. I did then get taken by an Alfa Romeo 155, but I had a great challenge trying to chase them down for the rest of the race. They did gradually pull away though, and I ended up with a second place finish. The final race of that adventure was at the Archer Moulahay circuit, which didn't go quite so well. My driving was pretty awful, so I ended up losing out not only to that same Alfa Romeo 155, but also to a Lotus 340R, which I know is particularly good in B-Class, and another Crime Scene Investigator. So it was on to a full adventure, with a lot less players in the lobby. The first race was at the Aerodromo Sprint, where I accidentally killed the Lotus slightly, so I had to let them back through. After some more appalling driving on my part, I ended up third. Second up in this set of races was the Reservorio Sprint. Here I had a fantastic start, leading the pack into the first corner, which I then messed up, letting the other BMW into the lead. From here on though, I had a brilliant time trying to stay with the faster driver ahead, and I just about kept up, dropping back a bit, but crucially I was still close enough to take victory at the last minute when the car ahead unfortunately missed a checkpoint. Not quite the way I wanted to take a win, but still, there was one win on the charts for the BMW at least there. And finally we ended up with a race around the Tierra Prospera circuit. Despite my worst driving so far today, and after a not particularly interesting race, I somehow ended up with an incredibly undeserved second place finish. So overall, this car's decent and quite fun to drive in B-Class. For me, I found it a little bit loose on the back end, and I found that was clipping walls and things, which is where I was losing time mostly. But yeah, it feels like a decent car to drive in B-Class. It's not as fast as something like a Lotus 340R, particularly through the corners, but on the straights it was very good and quite enjoyable to drive once I got used to it having slightly more oversteer than I'm used to in other B-Class tunes that I've driven recently. And that is going to do it for today's video, taking a very first look at the BMW M635 Crime Scene Investigator here on Forza Horizon 5. It is just an incredibly cool car. It's just a shame about that slightly offset exhaust that really annoys me, but nevertheless it is great to see it return, having not been in Horizon since Forza Horizon 3. Stock it drives pretty decently, and with a B-Class set of upgrades on it, it's pretty nice to race as well. Not the fastest thing in the game, but not bad either. As ever, do let me know your thoughts on this brand new addition to Forza Horizon 5, but for today's video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next one very soon.